Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about flying falcons. Hi, I'm Ryan, the head falconer at Owl Adventures, and on my hand here I have Gulliver, the trip-bred falcon. The reason he's wearing his hood right now is because if I was to film this without it on, then this is what would happen. The reason Gulliver is sometimes quite noisy is because he's an imprint falcon. He's just talking to me. He's especially noisy when he's on the glove or I'm preparing him to fly, things like that, as he can get quite excited and he likes to chat away. And as that's kind of the only noise he can make, that just happens to be the sound that comes from his beak. Now, I'm very privileged to be able to fly different species of birds of prey on a regular basis. Well, it's part of my job. But when it comes to flying birds, there's nothing quite like flying a falcon. Other birds of prey, like hawks, kestrels, owls, will generally fly to the fist. Whereas flying a falcon is different. They will usually fly to a lure, which is a leather pouch on the end of a leash that we swing around that usually has food in it. The bird flies to that lure. The reason we do this is because falcons primarily catch birds in the air. They very rarely catch anything on the ground. When they catch prey in the air like that, it's called on the wing, and they use incredible speed to catch their prey. So the lure mimics a bird flying. Gulliver here is a trip-bred falcon, so he's a mixture of 3 different birds all put into one. He's half a peregrine, quarter a gyrfalcon and quarter a saker falcon. One of his parents was a pure peregrine falcon. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on the planet, known for reaching speeds of well over 200 miles per hour in that infamous downward stoop to catch their prey. The other parent was a hybrid of a saker falcon and a gyrfalcon. The saker is a large falcon found around the Middle East, parts of Asia, and also northern Africa and parts of Europe. The gyrfalcon was the other parent, which is a much larger falcon, the largest of all of them, found in the Arctic regions and with that beautiful snowy owl-like plumage. As a result, Gulliver here has an interesting combination. He's mostly peregrine, so he's very fast, but he's a bit bigger because of the hybrid of the saker gyre in him as well, and a bit lighter than a normal peregrine would be. His flying weight is around 1 pound 12 ounces. And I've got to say, I'm really pleased with Gulliver here. Now, I don't breed birds of prey, but I know lots of breeders, and I'm aware that it's very easy to crossbreed different species of falcon as their DNA is so close. And the reason why falconers and breeders do this is the same reason why people mix dog breeds together. You can take the different colours and mix them together, and the certain attributes and style of flying that the different birds do, and put that mix together. And Gulliver here, in many ways, does show the peregrine tendencies. He'll do little stoops, not particularly high ones, but he's very quick, he's very clever, and quite large too. And that helps when there are other birds around, such as crows or seagulls that may have young to protect. Because he's a larger falcon, they tend to be a little bit more scared of him and are less likely to try and chase him away, which makes it much easier in flying displays. Over the years, I've flown various different falcons, including pure peregrines, sakers, Lanner falcons, lugger falcons, Barbary, and hybrids such as the Peri saker, the Peri gyre, and trip-breds, a bit like Gulliver here. In 2018, we took on Bobby, a little Lanner Praire peregrine trip-bred who was previously trained by a pest control falconer. We had him for about 9 months before moving him on to another pest controller. He was a very interesting bird. He'd been trained to fly very high, knowing that if he did and came down at speed, he would always get that meal as a reward. Now, if you remember, in the UK in 2018, we had a bit of a heat wave. It didn't actually rain for a number of months, and there was glorious sunshine almost every day. This gave Bobby the perfect opportunity to circle in the thermals and gain that height. Birds like Bobby will use thermals, these circular heat waves, to climb. They'd often be found above trees and above buildings. On one occasion, he reached a height of well over 3,600 feet, recorded using the Marshall GPS transmitter he was wearing. And he would often be in the air for over an hour just flying around. And without that technology, without a dot on a Google map on the iPad, he'd have no idea where he was. He would usually fly back down at great speed where we were, though sometimes you wouldn't be able to see the stoop because it may be behind trees or buildings, and then he'd swoop through. On other occasions, he would fly around for an hour or so and then just land somewhere randomly. I remember on one occasion he landed on the York Minster, for example, and then we'd have to go over there, track him and bring him back down to the lure from that position. There were only really a couple of shows where he was very impressive, including at the York Proms, where he flew down from a height of about 600 feet at great speed over the audience of about 2,000 people. In summary, however, Bobby wasn't really very suitable for flying shows because most of the time you just couldn't see him. He'd fly so high you wouldn't be able to spot him anymore, and really people want to see the falcon you're flying, which is why we moved him on. Another falcon we had for a while was Victor, who was a Lanner falcon. Lanner falcons are considered to be very good birds to use for flying displays, largely because they're very intelligent. Victor was parent-reared and then we manned him from a young age. That's the expression used when you're holding the bird for a long time and getting it used to people and its surroundings. Now, I could take Victor anywhere to a random spot and fly him without any problem whatsoever. He was fit, agile, he'd do 15, 20, 25 passes, a really impressive flying display. But if I took him to an event where there was a big audience, there's a horse show over there's some dogs waiting for a show over there, maybe a fun fair in the distance, he'd fly up, circle around for a little bit, and as soon as he saw one seagull, he'd fly off and we'd have to go and track him. So he wasn't really used to that kind of environment, and he again went on to be a pest control falconer with someone over on the west coast. Which brings me back to Gulliver here. He's 3 years old now, and he was advertised as a crash-reared falcon. So the way he was reared is really good for what we do, because he was already used to people, and being used to other falcons is great because we are hoping to put him into our falcon flying team later this year, where we're going to experiment by flying multiple falcons together. Fingers crossed on how that goes in the training, and I will do a video or two on that, so keep an eye on the channel. Gulliver's style of flying usually begins with going up to about 200 feet or so not particularly high, and just flying around without being too quick, exploring the area, thinking about the weather, what the wind's doing, having a look at how many trees there are in the area, and that kind of thing. And what he's doing is he's thinking about how he's going to attack the lure. When he does come down to the lure, he is quick. And then he is relentless. He begins a multiple pass attack on that lure, coming in from different directions, going up and gaining height, doing little stoops down, and he likes the trees. He uses the trees to trick me. He'll go behind the tree, and I don't know if he's going to come around the right, around the left, over the top, even through the tree, a bit like a goshawk or something. He's even been known to use the sun as well to try and blind me, coming in with the sun behind him so I can't see, and hope that he catches that lure. During a training session, if he does something quite impressive, I'll often let him have the lure and get his meal, and then he learns that that worked, so he'll use that technique again in the actual flying display, be it a little stoop or a trick around a tree or something else that's very impressive. Now, when the falcons fly, they should never have a little rest, like on a building or in a tree. This is called pitching. And if the bird ever does that, all it's doing is waiting. It's just sat there waiting for you to swing that lure and come down when it's ready. But really, it should be doing one constant flight, putting that effort in, being relentless. So in training, if the falcon ever does land somewhere, rather than standing there and swinging the lure around, a mistake I used to make, I'll now put the lure away and walk off. And if I keep doing that, the bird very quickly learns that it's just not worth sitting down to have a rest. The best thing about Gulliver here is that when he goes to an event like Ilkley Carnival, Wakefield Armed Forces Day, the York Balloon Fiesta, those events that we do, he goes up and he doesn't care if there's a big audience, if there's dogs or a horse show. He'll always do a really impressive flight. It's almost as if he knows and he shows off a little bit. So that's why I'm really pleased with Gulliver here. He is an absolutely fantastic falcon and one that I absolutely love to fly. There really isn't anything quite like flying a falcon when they're flying in at high speed towards that lure. As I said before, flying a falcon is very different to flying a bird that just flies to the fist. Swinging a lure isn't quite as simple as it looks. You have got to learn the right technique. There's timing involved, there's footwork, and that gives you control so that you don't accidentally hit the bird with the lure or get yourself tangled up in the lure or something like that. This is why flying a falcon is so different and so exhilarating when you've got a bird this fast flying at you at great speed, or perhaps trying to trick you, and you're there swinging the lure and practicing the timings and everything like that. It makes it an absolutely thrilling experience. Right then, on that note, Gulliver, let's go take you for a fly. Thanks for watching.